Hey guys, it's Ian with IanBlueMusic.com. We're going to be remaking a beat today, Drake and Future's Life is Good. Okay, so we're just doing Drake's part of this song, the first beat in Life is Good. If this goes well, I might do a tutorial for the second half of the song. So let's get straight into it. The first thing you need for the first part of the song is going to be this main chord progression. I split it up into two synths, but they're basically the same thing. I've just got them layered, so we've got one for some of the lower notes, making them a little quieter, and then set for some of the higher notes. So I'll show you that synth now, and it just sounds like this. I've got the Ethereal Earth Pack from Complete. A pretty simple sound, but some atmosphere, a lot of high frequencies, but still pretty smooth. So here's what it sounds like when I play it. So you can see some of these are grayed out. That's because they're on a separate a copy of that same synth, and I just mixed these lower notes a little differently, but this is all the same synth. If you want, you can do all four of these notes for each chord, and that should get you pretty much where you want to be for that synth. The next thing you need is a slow sort of string sound, and that sounds like this. Oh, it sounds like this. And that's just two notes. And that follows along with the progression like this. Something with a lot of attack to get started and kind of fade in between these two notes. All right, so that's the bulk of the song. The main next part that you'll need is the iconic, maybe you can call it iconic, it's probably too soon to call it that, but this guitar sort of synth line. And if you play it here, you can hear that.
Stuck in on the...
Oh, I should tell you, I remade this beat for a parody. So I've got some kind of goofy vocals. I'll actually link to the description on the parody I did for this about quarantine. It's a good time. All right, so what you need is two synths here. It's not going to be enough to do it with one unless you've got something that sounds really similar. What I used was an electric guitar and then a harpsichord. So this is the solo guitar part of Complete. Sounds... doesn't really sound that great, but it gives some of the low end for the sound. And then the top end, I used the harpsichord from the orchestral in Contact. That sounds pretty good, but together they sound almost exactly like the song. So I'll add in the other synth elements. And those notes right there, pretty simple. G, F, C, and then that quick walk up, down, back to D. So that is a lot of the song. There's one little effect he has right here that I'll show. I don't know exactly what he used, but I just used a little sound here with some reverb. That's probably not what you're going to want to focus on in this tutorial, so I'll keep moving. For the bass, this is what I have. And it sounds a little bit richer once the beat is mastered. This is the BFB 808 B flat 2. This came from Splice, so if you look up that, you can find the exact same sample that I used. If you look that up in Splice. And the important part is, I'll turn off the effects to show you how to get that bass sound. So it's just a straight up pretty basic 808. But the thing is, and you hear this in Upset as well, there's some sort of wobble effect on the 808. So if you listen, it sounds like almost like it's over distorted, like there's maybe like another sub frequency that's getting in the way. Makes it sound really good. I achieved that with gross beat. Going to the half beat gate if you're on 164 BPM. And just turning that wet pretty low. So that's what it sounds like if it was all the way on, but you just want to give it a little bit of a subtle movement to the bass. Also, a couple effects here. Sound goodizer, an EQ to get some of those frequencies out. A distortion that's on pretty lightly. But yeah, that should get you pretty close to the bass. I'll show you the notes here. Again, just following that same chord progression with that little bit of a walk up there. Okay, so the last thing is the drums. It's a really simple beat, so there's not a whole lot to it. I'll open up that drum pattern. I use the Big Head Kick 4. You can find that in Splice. I use the Super Mario Twerk Music snare, Slim Twerk Music snare. You can find that on Splice. And then one of my favorite hats, the Closed Hat 8 from Kashmir. Sounds like this. Again, nothing too fancy. There's nothing on the kick, just straight up kick. I used a little bit of a limiter because it's pretty squashed in the mix of the original song. Roll off some of those lows as well to make it sound a little bit more pleasant after it had been squashed on the limiter. And then the hats, I believe I added just a tiny bit of reverb. I used that with Convolver and I cut all those lows out. Here's the Convolver settings. It's just the default, and then I stretched it pretty short. Just have that pretty light. Give it a little bit of space. It's kind of what you hear in the original song. All right, all that together. And let's go. Cool. So that's it. That's how you make the first beat in Life is Good with Drake and Future. I know this is a little bit in depth, so I hope you got something out of it, whether you want to remake the beat yourself or if you just want to use some of these tricks in some of your own productions. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And again, thanks for watching.